Hey, Tanya here at Nerdy Knitting. Today we're talking about the mistake stitch rib pattern. We'll look at the pattern and the chart and written instructions for flat and in the round knitting. We'll work a few rows, and at the end I have a few tips to share for working the pattern. And if you want to jump to any point in the video, use the timestamps in the video description down below. This is mistake stitch rib. You can see it has a pronounced column of knit stitches, but it's based on knit 2, purl 2 rib. It's reversible, so it makes a great pattern for cowls and scarves. It has a little more interest than a regular rib pattern, but it's not as stretchy. Here you can see it stretches some, but it's still fairly firm. This is a sample of regular knit 2, purl 2, and that stretches quite a lot. So it's not quite as stretchy as that, but it's still an interesting pattern, and it has a nice squishy texture. Let's take a look at the chart. I'm going to remove these stitches just for a second because we're looking at this one right here. As you can see, it's a knit 2, purl 2 pattern until the end when we switch to a knit 2, purl 1. So it's a multiple of 4 plus 3 stitches. And you would repeat that for the wrong side of the work. Knit 2, purl 2 to the last 3, and then knit 2, purl 1. So it's a very easy pattern to memorize. All you're doing is adjusting that final purl column to be a purl 1. And that one purl offsets the pattern. You can see we have our column of knit stitches right there. And these offset purls create that texture in between. Now I added a few more rows because I wanted to balance the pattern. So I'd begin and end with a knit stitch, which would be nice for a scarf where you want both sides to match. And those written instructions are here. It's knit 2, purl 2 on the first side to the last stitch, and we knit 1. But on the second side we have to start with purl. Purl 2, knit 2 to the last stitch, and purl 1. So you can see the difference. The regular pattern is very easy to remember. It's simply knit 2, purl 2 right across the row. If you want to balance the pattern, then you're working knit 2, purl 2, and then on the wrong side, purl 2, knit 2, which still isn't very difficult. So let's work this pattern. So we're on our first row, so it's knit 2, purl 2 across the row. So we knit, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. So you can see it's not much different from a regular rib pattern. And then we're on our final 3, purl 2, knit 1. We turn our work and we're on a wrong side row, so we start with a purl stitch, purl 2, knit 2, and that is all there is to it. This is a very simple pattern, but it produces a nice interesting texture and stitch pattern when you want something just a little bit different. Where it's not very stretchy, it wouldn't be good for maybe cuffs on a sweater or something where you want more stretch or elasticity. But for accessories, it's a nice change from the normal rib pattern. Our last stitch, we're doing a purl 1. And that's it, that's the pattern. Let's take a look at if we were going to work this in the round, because it is a little bit different. What I've done is I've taken those rows of purl and I've split them up. So you would just continue around, knit 2, purl 2 on the first round, just like a normal knit 2, purl 2 rib. Then on the second round, you'd start with a purl 1 and then knit 2, purl 2, and then another purl 1. So we're taking that final 2 purl stitches and we're just splitting them up, and that gives us the same offset pattern but worked in the round. If you wanted to work a cowl in this pattern, then you could use this. And the final thing to remember is as you're working, just keep an eye on those columns of knit stitches. If you, for some reason, offset the pattern and you end up with a purl stitch here, you'll see right away that you've messed up somewhere, and it's easy just to tink back a bit and fix that. And that's it. There's your mistake stitch rib. If you love knitting and want to keep improving your skills and getting a bit nerdy with your knitting, click the subscribe button below.